Keshav Maharaj assembled teachers, quite a number of them, Shamol Babu, Kanchan Babu, I think Arun Babu is also there. Arun Babu is there. And staff members, I had tried the utmost to remember names. In fact, as I was entering the hall, I remembered one thing, that Vidyapith is normally very generous in allotment of time for the speakers, even to the point of sometimes proving to be a little painful towards the students as well. In fact, we in West Bengal would confine speakers to 45 minutes normally. So I would request students to come up with some questions which you think pertinent to the topic, relevant to the topic, so that the discussion is interesting towards the end as well. So to start with the basics, I am exceedingly grateful, especially to Arijit Maharaj, for repeatedly inviting me for this occasion, on this occasion. That is the 100 years of Vidyapith. For young students like you, 100 students, 100 years is a very long time. Almost etched in history. For you youngsters, most of you within the age of 20, your mind doesn't look that far. But just like a building is built upon a foundation, similarly those early years are important in the building of an institution as well. Those early days of struggle, gradually taking the students along with their hands towards higher education, wasn't easy for them. You would have some glimpses of this during the exhibition. You will see during the exhibition, normally, you would have displays of the early days of Deoghar, so that you come to know something about your heritage. Arijit Maharaj had mentioned some of the institutions I have come from. So believe me, these institutions, many of them, are glorious because their ex-students remember what they have received from their institutions. By the by, many of us too are ex-students of Ramakrishna Mission, just as you are. Arijit Maharaj too was an ex-student of our Tyagarupananda school, just as I was an ex-student of Narendrapur. But probably in one thing, I can associate you with more. That is, we also came from a fully residential school, like you are. That is, many of you, I think, are students from 6 up to class 12. Arijit Maharaj informed me that there are probably 40, 41 of them. It's a quite large number, only for class 12. Class 11 also similarly. 11 how many? Any of you can tell me the numbers?
15 I think. 15.
Achha. So these students have seen both the campus. Because those who come newly to this campus in 11 or class 12, believe me, you have seen one half of Vidyapith. Because the foundations are largely laid there. Here the stress is naturally more on studies. At the 11-12 stage, you are gradually progressing out from a school to the colleges, towards the vocations. Then you have less time for extracurricular activities. But in the secondary school, you have a very large all-round development. In fact, the amount of extracurriculars, especially the drill, the band, the karate, these are, I tell you, very rare. Gymnastics. I have worked in other education institutions also. I myself had been a student of Narendrapur. We didn't have this facility. I still remember with amazement the huge pyramids during the gymnastics that the students would do, high up in the sky. almost 4 or 5 stories they would go high. This program, the annual program, normally held in the evening. I believe it's the same till then. So it would almost light up the night sky. And with the audacity, if you can use the word, breaking one brick after another, with their different trainings in karate, kung fu, etc., it was really an amazement. But I would often verify that many of them would do their studies well also. I remember in those days, Sadhu Das Chakrabarti was the teacher. He would come all the way from Baharampur. I still have some contact with him. A very energetic teacher actually. And because of his presence, many of the boys would enroll themselves for their belt examinations. Black belt, green belt, red belt. In fact, sometimes I would feel that students would have more focus on acquiring these certificates than the school exams. Some of the boys were so keen on it, so keen to pursue this. Swami Vivekananda had repeatedly told even sadhus, brahmacharis and young boys that you must have a strong physics, strong physique. That is, a head must be there. In order to withstand the vicissitudes of time, of nature, studies is only one part of your life, I can assure you. You won't understand this when you're in the higher secondary section. As you move out in the colleges, as you move out in your professional life, then you won't find the wonderful boundary that you see here. The wall that protects you, the swamis, the teachers, the wardens. In Vidyapith you have a very protected life, I tell you. As you go out, as you face the storms in the society, it will be a test of your character. I can tell from my personal experience that when you study in the hostel, sometimes you can detest the amount of routine here, the bells, one after another. We would count the number of bells, starting from rising bell, prayer bell, study bell, class bell, down to the night sleeping bell as well. You have a sleeping bell also? So, in a hostel life, students are guided by these bells. In fact, when a student comes to the hostel in the initial days, even at the higher secondary level, I can tell you, you can have a longing to go back once again to your own houses. When your mother is there, where your mother is there, your relatives are there, you have a cozy atmosphere, and here you are thrown into the midst of a dormitory, where you have to adjust to the number of boys. I think 13, 14 are there, isn't it? So, in a sense, your privacy is disturbed. Because in normal homes nowadays, with smaller families, even students, boys and girls, they have a lot of privacy. In addition to this, you have restrictions on your mobiles, use of mobile phones, on televisions, on your loitering outside. And students would sometimes honestly come up and tell us, Maharaj, पढ़ाई तो कर रहे अच्छी तरह से, इतना प्रेयर वगैरह क्या जरूरत थी हम लोग का? ये प्रेयर और प्रवचन सुनना, इससे हम लोग का फायदा क्या है? But I can tell you, even the government of India is now thinking more on the lines of imparting a value education. Only professional life, being an engineer or a doctor, wouldn't sustain you when you face the storms in your personal life or in society. When people corner you for being an honest person, you will find your nerves getting shattered, I tell you. This can be in a small scale even in the hostels also. You can sometimes see a good honest boy, probably not strong enough, being depressed when he hears the taunts of others. ऐसा हो सकता है कि बाकी लोग बोल रहे हैं क्या महाराज लोग के साथ केवल बातचीत करते हुए हम लोग के साथ रहो ज्यादा. But you'll understand the value of these educations later on. When you go up in life, when you are in the family, when you will understand that life is not bed and roses, life is indeed full of thorns as well, you'll understand the importance of value education. You know, in educational psychology, a word is used, it is said, you see, these are value neutral. Value neutral matlab, when you do a mathematics problem, whether it is good or bad, this is not being judged. When you write a problem in physics or in economics or in statistics, people are not judging it whether it is good or bad. But the same matter in a scientific, if you have a scientific bent of mind, you will take it neutrally. But this idealistic view of life gets shattered when you go to the workplace. Suppose you are a teacher. You have many revered teachers here, I can tell you. Some of the teachers of Vidyapith are very, very dedicated. I am not exaggerating. I have seen a number of them. I have seen them supporting me during the different troubles I have had faced in Vidyapith. They have stuck on. So, in addition to the Swamis, I can tell you, these teachers, these staff members, they also are very good guides in your life. So, when you go in life, when you face vicissitudes, you'll see, even when you want to do something good in life, you can get teased. हम लोग ऐसा बोलते हैं ना, मेजॉरिटी बोलते हैं ना, गणतंत्र बोलते हैं ना, democracy. So Swami Vivekananda would say, you see, truth is not determined by a democracy. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग, they won't come up and say, we all of us we are ready to sacrifice. Only a few will be there. But Swamiji would say, you see, truth is like a corrosive substance. Corrosive matlab, it's like an acid. अगर acid कहीं फेंक देते, after a point you come up and see your clothes have had a hole into it. होता है ना कभी-कभी लैब के प्रैक्टिकल के बाद घर में जाके देखो कि क्या अचानक क्या होगा भाई, हो ना होगा कैसे? तुम्हारा पता नहीं था, केमिस्ट्री का काम के समय कुछ केमिकल तुम्हारे शर्ट के ऊपर चला आया था। इसी तरफ ट्रूथ के बारे में स्वामी जी बोल रहे हैं, देखो ट्रूथ when it is uttered, initially there wouldn't be many takers. Many people wouldn't come up and say, yes, I'm ready to give up everything to serve others. But this message would ring in the heart, I tell you. This message is being given here in Vidyapith and in the Ramakrishna Mission schools. That in addition to being a good student, you must be a good individual as well. Swamiji would say, Swami Vivekananda would say, you see, consider the people who, having been educated at the expenses of the majority, of the poor, do not pay the least regard for them. When I read this line, I didn't understand really. Later on we understood, when I started working in the schools and colleges, that when a large part of our education system really subsidized, with more and more of privatization in education coming in, education is gradually now going beyond the reach of the poor. But still, as it stands now, there is a lot of education that is being rendered at a very, very cheap cost. When I had studied in a government college, Arijit Maharaj had given the name. In those colleges, even today, Jadavpur University, a few days earlier, a guardian told me, Jadavpur University is one of the top-notch universities in India. There, the boarding fees are still 12 rupees per month. Not food, only boarding. So imagine the amount of subsidy that comes to a student. I remember when I was a brahmachari, the Calcutta University had increased the examination fee probably by 10 rupees. There was a big political agitation.
People have been so used to discounted fees that a little bit of increase by the government would draw irritation, ire, would draw a strong protest. Days have changed. People have realized that many people are spending crores, lakhs in securing private tuitions. So why shouldn't a school or a college, when it tries to run properly, ask the students to pay for the minimum fees? But still, as it stands today, Swamiji's words are ringing true, that a lot of what we get in society is largely subsidized. He says that after having all these benefits, which you often take for granted, isn't it? Often probably you do not know that these are subsidized. I'll give you an example, okay? If you go along a national highway, I had come all the way from Malda, down through Pakur, and I had reached here. It had taken us approximately 6.5 hours by car. We had come by car. As we came along, we faced a number of toll gates. So we have to pay a little bit of fees. For why? For the maintenance of those roads. But as you cross the road here, do you pay any taxes? Yes, boys? Do you pay any taxes? No. As you go to Baba Dham, probably day after tomorrow, a big procession would be there to Baba Dham, isn't it? 27th. As you go along the road, do you have to pay any taxes? Nothing. Even when you get into the Baba Dham, as it stands today in the temples, you do not have any compulsory payments, isn't it? You can make a pranam at Baba Dham, as students of Vidyapith do before their major exams, and come back without paying a single pice there. It's totally voluntary. So the government spends many amount or lot of money for the maintenance of these, I tell you. But still these are free. In economics, there is a discipline known as public finance. Many of our students here, Parthoda is also the economics teacher, both of us would very much relish teaching economics. In that, I would jokingly mention one incident. There was one batch, there was a boy from Bangladesh. His name was Sudipto Das. Teachers would remember him. Very active, Sudipto. So their batch, a number of them had taken up economics. If I'm not wrong, probably 13 or 14 of them were there. 16. Very big now. I think it's one of the biggest.
It was the year
2016. Parthoda remembers it in details. So that batch, I tell you, was so much inspired with this subject that in later days also a number of boys had taken up economics. What I wanted to tell was, by telling about economics, not economics per se. What I wanted to point out is that a teacher can imbibe a love for a subject. When suppose Shamulda is teaching you physics, or Urunda is teaching you computer science, or another teacher is teaching you chemistry, you do not know what lies ahead. What are the frontiers of physics or of computer science? So you have to take Shamulda or Urunda as representatives of that particular discipline. You have to look at through their eyes that subject. So it behoves the teacher that he instills this inspiration within you. Swami Vivekananda would say, you see, the teacher only lights the lamp. Thereafter, the student discovers his own way. It is like lighting up a torch and showing you the road. It's a dark desert road or a jungle road. You can probably get lost in the jungle. What the teacher does is, he tells you, don't get lost. It's not that difficult. You can go straight up through this. After listening to this, after getting convinced beyond the point, he has the inspiration. He says, yes, I'll take it up. One funny thing I'll tell you about this batch he had referred to, this batch when they were in class 10, there was quite a student unrest there. If I'm not wrong, Shamulda Munaz over there. But I was really surprised when I saw them coming here and sitting patiently in the class, listening with all attention to economics. Some of them, I still remember one boy, Amit, when I say, Amit was very, very punctual in the economics classes. So all of these boys were attracted by the subjects. So Vidyapith, what it does is, it gives you quality education in addition to values. It doesn't give you only jnana, only values. No, it doesn't. But it also tells you that education must be there along with values. It must not be value neutral. So in every class you have compulsorily Indian culture, isn't it? Right? So, इनका full topic का नाम क्या है ना? Indian culture is ours. And value education. See, I see V there, you know, and value. So I would watch one thing, that in Malda, at every stage you have this compulsory in the class. Okay. So I would be surprised when I see boys, class 9, 10 boys even, 11 also, because these would be included in their mark sheets. They would give their full energy into that. When I've gone to Malda, I'm in Malda. Malda has a sizable Muslim population. Okay. So there we have a similar subject being taught there at the different classes. Some of the Muslim boys are also good in studies. They give the full energy into studying this. Okay. So I would sometimes call them and tell them, you see, we are teaching you Gita and Swami Vivekananda. But do you know about your Quran, about your namaz? You are reading this for getting your examination marks. But it's not that we are trying to take you away from your original religious teachings. These are meant to give you good values in life. These are meant to tell you that you should be truthful. Meant to tell you that you must feel for others also. Religion in the Ramakrishna Mission is not confined only to rituals, pujas. You do puja in Vaidyanath Dham, isn't it? A number of the organizations are there, we won't name them, which spend a lot of money on pujas, rituals, etc. Swamiji scathingly criticized them. He said, you see, I have been to Vrindavan, he mentions Vrindavan, where there are different rituals for closing and opening of the temples, closing and opening. That takes a lot of energy for these people. He would say, but you see your neighbors, many of them very poor persons. Why don't you go out of your own boundaries and do a little for them? You need not sacrifice your lives. Your parents would be scared if you monks tell you that. Okay? But what Swamiji tells you is, do a little. In addition to your vocation, serve others a bit. Vidyapith tells you, Ramakrishna Mission educational institutions tell you, be assured that you will have great strength in your mind by doing for others. Sometimes people would come in and tell me, you have heard that I would relish taking classes actually. Throughout the more than 30 years I'm in the Ramakrishna Mission, I have been a teacher in some sense, means some classes, say whether it's economics or statistics or Indian culture. In fact, in addition to this, I take a lot of scriptural classes also, say Gita, Upanishad, etc. So in a sense, teaching has been somewhat of a lifeblood for me. Someone would come and ask me, Maharaj, you are also teaching statistics or economics, other teachers are also teaching. How do they differ? I would laugh and say, you said they don't differ in solving their problems. Partha Babu would do an economics question solving and I do it. The boys have to write the same answer. Or Arijit Maharaj would be teaching mathematics, or Arun Babu would be teaching mathematics. They won't differ in the subjects, in the contents. It would differ probably in their outlook. What a volunteer, what a service-oriented person is trying to do is, he says, I'll be a totally honorary person. It's not easy, I tell you. It's quite a difficult decision. Because a sadhu or a brahmachari who comes in the Ramakrishna mission are mostly have a good education. So I can tell you, you won't understand when you see them from the outside. Aurobindo Maharaj has had a good computer exposure. So they too had many alternative opportunities for themselves, which they had sacrificed for coming here. Sometimes people ask us, Maharaj, आप लोग क्या त्याग कर रहे? अच्छा गाड़ी से भी घूम रहे, प्लेन से भी जाते हैं कभी-कभी. तो हम लोग के एक प्रिंसिपल थे बेलूर कॉलेज के, उसके नाम स्वामी तेजसानंद जी महाराज. तेजसानंद जी was very good in studies. He was a rank holder in MA history, and among his student friends there were some brilliant scientists also. Okay. And there was another one, he was Anadi Maharaj. He was the founder of the Deoghar students home, Swami Nirvedananda ji. So these are great scholars. I have heard a story about Nirvedananda ji which I can share with you. Nirvedananda ji, I think some of you might have seen books written by him. So once Meghnad Saha was his friend. Okay. So some of his students' friends had said, Swamiji, আপনি কি এমন করছেন এখানে বসে বসে? ভালো খাওয়া দাওয়া করছেন আমাদের মতো, ছাত্রদের পড়াচ্ছেন, যে কোনো টিচাররাই তো এমন করে. I think you understand the Bengali. बोले क्या देखो तुम लोग क्या अलग क्या कर रहे हो भाई, तुम लोग भी पढ़ाई करवा रहे हो, हम लोग भी ऐसा ही कर रहे हैं. तो महाराज स्वामी निर्वेदानंद जी एक बार बोले थे उन लोग को, एक काम करो ना, तुम लोग आ जाओ इधर, कुछ दिन रह के देखो ना, detached from family life, without taking any money, without having all the pleasures of life, why don't you test for yourself? Ekdo in fact tried to do and finally surrendered. बोले ठीक है स्वामी जी, आप लोग जो कर रहे हैं अलग ही है. ऐसा नहीं क्या we are different, we have come from different planets. ऐसा नहीं. In fact, teachers who work here for a long period, there are teachers here for probably more than 30 years. Shamalu 30 years হয়ে গেছে? That's 38. আর কাঞ্চনবাবু আছেন? 25. Battling. আচ্ছা, in लोग they have the stamp of the Ramakrishna mission for long years, I tell you. In a sense, उन लोग भी थोड़ा सा कहते हैं ना saffronization, उन लोग को भी हो चुका है थोड़ा सा. इतना साल बिता चुके हैं in the proximity of sadhus, I tell you, they too must have been inspired by this ideal degree. Different teachers who spend here, I tell you, they too have had alternative opportunities. ऐसा हो सकता है कि आप रिलेटिव्स लोग बोले हैं क्या कर रहे हो, रामकृष्ण मिशन के इतना डिसिप्लिन के भीतर छुट्टी भी नहीं मिल रही तुम लोग का, थोड़ा घूमने के लिए जाऊंगा, ये बोले ये ड्यूटी करो, छुट्टी के टाइम भी चले आओ इधर. दूसरा स्कूल तो इतना नहीं करते, तो उन लोग के लिए इट वाज आल्सो सैक्रिफाइस, जस्ट लाइक वी हैव डन इट. सो व्हाट Vidyapith does for you students is giving you an outlook towards life, telling you that you are also a citizen of this country. You too have a responsibility as a member of the society. A society can only grow up when individuals cater to the collective as well. When Swamiji had come from abroad for the first time in 1897, okay, याद है ना, शिकागो पार्लियामेंट में गए थे. Which year did you go to the Chicago Parliament? Any of you boys? 1893. Okay. So first time he returned was in 1897. ठीक है ना? उस time there were many social movements going on because the Indian National Congress had been established in 1885. A number of reform movements also were there. The Brahmo Samaj was there. The Arya Samaj was there. So the political firmament was seething actually. India was boiling. Because the Britishers, while bringing in their language, their culture, had unconsciously also stoked the fire of nationalism. People become alert that we are under foreign rule. It is time that we cut off this bondage. In 1897, when Swamiji came in, he was asked the question, who is a proper social reformer? He said, because many of you are growing up graduates, isn't it? After a few days, you leave the boundary of Vidyapith. So Swamiji said, to be a social reformer, first of all, do you really feel for your country? Do you feel that millions of whom you call the sages are spending their lives like brutes, animals? Do you really feel for them? Is your blood boiling? Does it leave you restless, unable to sleep properly in your houses? If that is the situation, then you have passed the first test of being a social reformer. What is the second test? Well, after having a wonderful, great emotion, do you have any concrete plan for actualizing this emotion? I remember in the beginning of this century, there was a huge tsunami. Have you heard the word tsunami, young boys? Have you heard the word? So tsunami was a very big ocean wave that came and struck the coast of India. Not only India, there were other countries also. Plenty, lakhs of people died. Literally lakhs of people. Some of our centers, such as Madras and others, they do great relief work. That was really a time of social mourning. People were very sorry that so many people had passed away because of no fault of theirs. Okay, that's fine. The nation as a whole had risen. But I was amazed that within 2 years came the IPL, Cricket League, okay, Indian Premier League. And the first few years it was so extra colorful. In addition to the cricket, there were so many other attractions that people were left wondering. A few days earlier, people were so much swayed by the way of nationalism, they were spending tears, crocodile tears, they say, Kumbhirastru, crocodile tears. After a few days, they forget everything. IPL ke saath naach rahe sab log. I remember in those days, IPL, they would have cheerleaders in those days, and they were colorful cheerleaders. So in addition to cricket, these would be more important. So this contrast, okay? So in addition to emotion, do you have a concrete plan? This is number 2, Swamiji says. Parikalpana. Do you have that? What is the third criteria then? 1, 2. Third is dangerous. He says, suppose you have a plan, you hit upon a plan. Okay? So you have emotion, you have a plan in your brain, but when you try to actualize this plan, your relatives, your friends, your well-wishers, they come sword in hand and tell you, क्या बुढ़बक बन रहे हो क्या? तुम्हारे कैरियर सब छोड़ के, in Bengali they say, घरेर खे बोनेर मोश ताड़छो. Meaning, you eat in your own houses and cater to others, which doesn't give you any money. What is the use of this? Why indulge in such fruitless, non-profitable activity? So whenever you want to think for others, out of the box is the word used now. Do something different, people can jeer at you, laugh at you. I'll give you a concrete example, okay? In Belur Vidyamandir, we had worked a number of years. A new course was started in industrial chemistry, 3-year course. Okay. Number of teachers working in Vidyapith had earlier studied in Belur Vidyamandir. I think Moyuk ache এখন তাই না? আচ্ছা. So in there a new course was started, industrial chemistry. So industrial chemistry was a course which had a more focus on entrepreneurship development. Okay, how do you start a business? So there was a student, his name was Deoghar Misro. Deoghar was originally from Malda. So within a few years, passing out from Ramakrishna Mission, he got a job in the Reliance company. He was quite in a position by that time. But Deoghar was fired by the zeal of entrepreneurship. He convinced his parents, no, I won't do these sundry jobs, humdrum jobs. I want to do something original. So his parents were upset. What will you be tell our relatives? क्या कर रहे हो भाई तुम? नया कुछ काम कर रहे हो? इससे फायदा क्या है? पैसा आना वो तो बाद में होगा भाई, फ्यूचर में. अभी क्या मिल रहा है? हम लोग पड़ोसी को क्या बोलेंगे, हम लोग क्या बोलेंगे लोग? तुम गांव जाके सब सामान खरीद करके ला रहे हो, सेलिंग इन द मार्केट, ऐसा काम. Deoghar stuck on. Today he is a very big shot in Malda, I tell you. There is a big eye hospital, Pinaki Roy Eye Hospital. Anyone from Malda here? Or from, okay? I think you have heard the name, Pinaki Roy Eye Hospital, okay? It's a very state-of-the-art eye hospital. And Deoghar is the main consultant. I was really very pleased to see him and heard about him. This is what Swamiji had wanted from me, I tell you. Not the humdrum bit. Students of Vidyapith, students of the Ramakrishna Mission must have the courage to do something new, okay? Not the beaten track, as they say in English. Okay? Beaten track means what others have walked, हम लोग भी ऐसा ही चले. Swamiji बोलते थे भेड़िया धसान. भेड़िया धसान किसे कहते हैं? Swamiji would say in English. For Hindi में बोलते हैं ना भेड़िया धसान. He would explain in English. बोलते देखो, एक बार हुआ क्या? एक रास्ते में a bamboo pole was set, okay? And the sheep coming there, भेड़ जा रहे ना, they would cross over that bamboo pole, हाँ? आगे वाले भेड़ जा रहे, पीछे वाला वैसे चल रहे, ठीक है? तो कुछ टाइम बाद they removed the pole, but the surprise of surprises, लोग देख रहे तभी तक उन लोग को क्रॉस करके जा रहे हैं. क्यों कर रहे सर? बोल रहे क्योंकि सब लोग आगे वाले को देख रहे, आगे वाले कैसे कर रहे हैं. Have they jumped? Then I too should jump, है ना? इसको कहते भेड़िया धसान. सचमुच में we are largely driven by such instincts in society. You should be original, Swamiji says, okay? When Swamiji Vidyapith was in Belur, he had a disciple, his name was Sharat Chandra Chakraborty. Anyone heard his name? Sharat Chandra Chakraborty. Sharat Chandra, he has left very wonderful reminiscence of Swami Vivekananda, okay? And Swamiji's reminiscences are often very explosive ones. They would cut at the roots of established beliefs, established religious beliefs, very dynamic ones. So, Swamiji, he would tell Sharat Babu, Sharat Babu was junior to him by age. But देखो, एक काम करो ना, what is the use of spending your days like this? Only taking up a job, a small job even, just rearing a family. Instead you take even the clothes and sell them in the markets in America and England. So Sharat Babu was aghast. Remember in those days it was not that frequent going abroad. When Swamiji had gone there, he had taken a long sea voyage. In fact, बहुत लोग had criticized him for going abroad. Kala pani बोलते लोग, because the ocean rivers are black. Kala pani, तैरना was considered to be a crime. It's not wanted. Swamiji dismissed all of them. In fact, this original work, thinking newly, was his contribution to our order. He would tell Sharat Babu, you see the other brother disciples that Swamiji had. He would tell Sharat Babu, you see, Sharat, tu bhabish na je era kichu noy. Don't think that they are small persons. Like a big tree, the smaller ones below that big tree are sometimes covered. All of them are original. Thakur amader shobaike unique kore gechen. Sri Ramakrishna had made all of us unique. Every person, the Vedanta says, has a potential in him. Education is the manifestation of that divinity which every one of us have. And what we have in schools, colleges is removal of that ignorance, of the veil of ignorance. As you remove it, you'll see huge power welling up from within. Sometimes you can be amazed. मेरा भी तो इतना क्षमता कभी सोचा नहीं. Am I able to do this? देखो अभी भी sometimes when you do good in exams, you will have the feeling इसी तरह कर सकते हैं ना ऐसा. I too can do good. इसका रैंक 1 है, रैंक 2 है, मेरा जो पावर है तो कम नहीं. I can also do like this. देखो एग्जाम के बाद ना कभी कभी होता है, सब बच्चों को होता है, बिफोर एग्जाम सब लोग अच्छी तरह से पढ़ाई में ध्यान देते है ना. When you put your mind to the lessons, the mind after time would quickly sink deep. है ना. Before the exams, you will discover newly the subjects. ऐसा होता है? ठीक बोलो. Yes or no? होता है ना? And then you will feel, why didn't I start little early? अगले examination के time, I will start very early. I will not keep it to the last minute. Unfortunately, we forget again. ठीक है ना? परीक्षा के बाद, रिजल्ट के बाद, we again go slow. Sri Ramakrishna Dev give an example. He says, you see, देखो, have you seen a pond covered with water hyacinth? हरा रंग का होता है ना, water hyacinth. बाहर से देखोगे, लगेगा नहीं कि पानी है उधर. जाके एक दूर से एक स्टोन फेंक दो, क्या होता है? श्री रामकृष्ण देव बोला है, उनके एग्जाम्पल, वंडरफुल एग्जाम्पल देते थे. देखो, when you put a stone there, तो वाटर हाइसेंस सब चली जाएंगे फिर, एंड यू सी द क्लियर वाटर. इसी तरह समटाइम्स ऑल्सो आवर इग्नोरेंस, आवर थॉट दैट वी आर पावरलेस, इट विल गो अवे. मगर बोलते मगर आफ्टर टाइम that water hyacinths would again come dancing. You say in Bengali, sweet Bengali will say, আবার নাচতে নাচতে তারা চলে আসবে, and again cover up the pond. Similarly with you also. After a time तुम लोग बोलोगे, इतना क्या होगा, बाद में और एक बार करूंगा फिर, है ना. So this effort must be there, you know. Whether result or in any walk of life, there is no alternative to hard work, I tell you. Thomas Alva Edison, he would say, you see, I have seen many big individuals. 96% is perspiration and 4% is inspiration. I'll give you an example, okay? Suppose in class 5-6, a student comes up with a very middling result. Unka rank hai, suppose the class of 80, his rank is 30. Okay? Then he starts working hard. In the next class, he comes up still higher. He becomes 15th in the class rank. Good statistics skill, na? When the result is displayed, he sees earlier 30, now he's come up with 15. This display, suddenly it acts like a light. It says, sorry, you have the power, na? You can also do. बाकी लोग भी आके बोल रहे हैं, अरे देखो, तुम्हारा रिजल्ट कितना अच्छा होगा फिर. You start believing in yourself. हाँ, मैं भी कर सकता हूँ ना? I can also do. अच्छा, why you don't? I go up still higher. Can't I work still higher? Some of the boys in our economics group in 11-12, in that batch that Parthuda was telling, I have seen some such boys, you know, very dedicated, they would not miss the class at all. I tell you students, one first criteria to have good results is you must not miss any classes. I remember in the second half in the 11-12 section, when I was there here for the 4 years, second half would often be a problem for the teachers. Okay? कुछ ना कुछ बहाना हम लोग बना देंगे फिर. ट्यूशन है हम लोग का, पाथ फाइंडर भी है ना, कुछ ना कुछ बहाना बना देंगे फिर. एग्जामिनेशन है, कुछ ना कुछ. They would drop classes. Don't miss classes, I tell you. Because the teacher who is teaching in the class, they are trying to give you the essence. बहुत कुछ पढ़ाई करने के बाद in a distilled form they are trying to teach you. So in a sense, if you have your mind in the class, घर में जाके जो पढ़ाई कर रहे हो ना, much of it would be reduced, I tell you. I'll give you a very personal anecdote. When I was in the post-graduation class, in the post-graduation classes, normally the class teacher, what he teaches, what he is teaching in the class, that the questions would be set based on those class teachings. Clear textbooks are not there. Anyone going through a postgraduate class, they will have this experience. So we had a very respected professor. I still remember him with reverence. His name was Arup Mollik. He was a very celebrated professor of economics. So Arup Mollik was very, he was very outwardly. I'm sorry, he was not given to name and fame. When he would come to the class, he was like a poet, go on teaching. Before the examinations, often, I was privileged, he would say, my name is Anando, normal name is Ananda. He would say, Anando, tumhar khatata ma ke debe? And the first time he did this, I was amazed. Arupta is a very reputed teacher. What should he do with my khata, with my exercise book? He would just say very simply, দেখো আসলে কি পড়িয়েছিলাম না সবসময় মনে থাকে না. I don't remember very clearly what I had taught. So give me your khata. Then on the basis of that, I would prepare the questions. In front of my other friends, I would feel honored, Arupta is taking my khata. But after that, it did me one great favor. What it did was, I put more mind on writing the class notes. I tell you students, develop the habit of writing more in the class. बहुत बच्चे ऐसा होता है बोलते हैं देखो टीचर अभी पढ़ा रहे ठीक है मैं घर में जाके वो सब बना लूंगा अभी कुछ सुनना ही दे रहे कुछ समझ में आ रहा है कुछ नहीं है what you do while writing a note is your mind is more in the teaching. It is not writing around. It is not in the cricket field. It is not in the India-New Zealand one-day match. Okay? पढ़ाई में है. It's in the class. A teacher जो बोल रहा है ना, you are putting a whole mind there. This is one thing. Number two is, any person appearing for an examination will understand that the first page of your khata is in a good handwriting. After that, it is caterpillar's walk, isn't it? Ants walk. है ना? कभी-कभी छोड़ देते एक ant को इंक पे और उसके बाद छोड़ देते खाता में जैसा होता है ना handwriting उसी तरह हो जाता है फिर. But a teacher, I tell you, doesn't have time to go through all the lines because teachers would support me. First 2 pages they'll check very, very seriously. Uske baad they go speedily. So your handwriting creates a very clear impression of your mind. Dekho, Vidyapith examination is not final examination. When you go for a final examination, the examiner who would check your scripts, do they know you personally? जानते होंगे क्या? बाहर के लोग तो खाता चेक करेंगे है ना? They won't know you personally. Your representative is your handwriting, your khata. So how much of knowledge you might have in your mind, you must have a reflection of that in your own khata. And for that, handwriting, I tell you, is a very, very important tool. मजाक से ये भी बोल पाऊंगा तुमको जो if you write in a clear handwriting, especially in English, in literature, है ना, long essays ऐसा होता है ना, you write very clearly. बाद में teacher ऐसा करते हैं. I hope Kanchan Babu would be upset with what I say. After a point बोलेंगे अरे भाई हस्ताक्षर तो अच्छा ही है भाई अच्छा ही हो गया कितना देखूंगा ये 100 स्क्रिप्ट हाउ कैन आई चेक लाइक दिस जल्दी भाई ठीक दे जल्दी जल्दी करेंगे है ना करते हैं सब लोग क्योंकि आई हैड आल्सो टॉट इंग्लिश विद हिम. So every teacher is largely guided by the neatness in your khata, how you represent yourself, how you represent your learning. So Vidyapith, because of a very small number of persons sitting in the class, okay? I think you have 2 sections, right? In 11, 2 section, 12, 2 section. So you have a lot of attention in the class compared to other schools, I tell you. So here, you must know these small tricks, how to represent yourself. In addition to giving you a big jnana on values, Vidyapith also teaches you how to have good results also. And that too, not by working day and night. Be intelligent, be clever. So Swamiji, when he was a student, he gave a funny simile, okay? So I will leave the spectrum open for some questions. I hope you will have some intelligent questions. So once when Swami Vivekananda, he was in the college days probably, the 2 of his friends had come to meet him. One of them was Dasharathi, another was Shatkori. They had come in. And Swamiji careless, okay. And if a friend would come in and request him, even with the examination, that, Dekho, can you sing for me a bhajan? In the name of bhajan, he would forget everything. He was so fond of singing. Singing was natural with him. So these friends came in and said, क्या करा भाई भीले? Exam है तुम्हारा कल परसों. छोड़ दे ना फिर. So Swamiji would say, you see, देखो, if you have a horse, if you had made him run for a very long time, उसके बाद you must give him some rest. दाना पानी तो कुछ खाने दोगे नहीं ना. इसी तरह बिफोर एग्जामिनेशन तुम्हारा माइंड का जो हॉर्स है ना, थोड़ा सा रेस्ट दो भाई. बहुत कुछ तो पढ़ चुके हो अभी. उसको अच्छी तरह से अंग्रेजी में बोलते च्यूइंग द कड. सुना है ये टर्म? एनीवन? च्यूइंग द कड मतलब जो खाए हो डाइजेस्ट इट प्रॉपर्ली इन योर स्टमक. बहुत कुछ तो पढ़ाई कर चुके हो. लेट द माइंड डाइजेस्ट दिस स्टफ प्रॉपर्ली. उसके बाद अच्छी तरह से एग्जामिनेशन हो जाएगा. बच्चों लोग क्या करते अंत तक ये किताब देखते, वो किताब देख रहे, वार्निंग घंटी तक ले इस तरह पुस्तक कर रहे हैं, है ना. लैक ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस एक्चुअली. इतना पढ़ाई के बाद लास्ट मिनट तक देखना मतलब जो पढ़ाई कर चुके हो यू आर एंग्शियस दैट यू विल फॉरगेट देम. होता है ना ऐसा? भूल जाऊंगा महाराज. पेट का भीतर की जो आवाज हो रहा है सभी भूल जाने लग रहा है. फिर घबराना मत. इतना वैल्यू एजुकेशन, इतना इंडियन कल्चर सीखना, इतना प्रेयर करना सुबह शाम, इसका मतलब यही है सो दैट यू हैव कॉन्फिडेंस इन योरसेल्फ. स्वामी विवेकानंद बोल रहे हैं, देखो, today's religion says you need not believe in the hundreds of gods. Believe in yourself. He said, today's Hindu religion says one who does not believe in himself is an atheist. Does not believe in image worship is not an atheist. Believe in yourself, he said. This is the new religion of Swami Vivekananda, I tell you. Be confident. Believe in yourself. Believe in the great power that you have. Vidyapith or other educational institutions of the Ramakrishna Mission is only trying to open up, germinate a seed that you are. इसके लिए पानी देते हैं ना, पानी देते हैं, फर्टिलाइजर देते हैं, सनशाइन देते हैं. But the power is there in the seed itself. तुम्हारे भीतर ही सब पावर है. टीचर लोग, किताबें, इंटरनेट, हॉस्टल, ये तुम्हारे सहारा है केवल, हेल्प्स. बट यू आर द मेकर ऑफ योर ओन डेस्टिनी. यू हैव द पावर इन योरसेल्फ. स्वामी जी बोल रहे हैं. These are not empty words, I tell you. Thousands of people have been inspired. In fact, I tell you, I had an opportunity to go to 2-3 countries very recently. I was amazed. People are having so much reverence for Swamiji's words. Swamiji is not confined to the Ramakrishna Mission, I can tell you. Even the government of India has declared 12th January as the, what? National Youth Day. So today, Swami Vivekananda is not a property of the Ramakrishna Mission anymore. He is the property of the country as a whole. The country believes that for the youth, he is the leader. I remember when I was a student like you are, that was long back, about 50 years back approximately. people didn't have this amount of reverence for Swamiji. Swamiji was a great person, but उनके लिए उनके बारे में जानकारी इतना तक पहुंचा नहीं. Today schools, colleges, almost all of them observe the National Youth Day. Knowingly or unknowingly, these messages are percolating deep down into society through schools, colleges, to the youth. Swamiji believed that one day this nation will rise. So this will come through young people like you. And Swamiji's message, I tell you, is a great booster for others. Believe in this. ऐसा मत सोचना क्या हम लोग के मंदिर में क्या बोल दिए महाराज लोग गीता पढ़ा रहे हैं इन लोग, इससे क्या फायदा होगा भाई हम लोग का इंजीनियरिंग और मेडिकल कॉलेज में जाके. ऐसा नहीं. Genuinely believe that these are great boosters, great pillars of strength. You will see this later in your life. Okay? So I thank you all and leave the platform open for some discussions, some questions. Even the teachers, they can come in with some notes or some comments. और की to Godless बोलना से?
In my own expressions, I hope that our students actually have imbibed many things from this today's session. Actually, our revered son Tyagarupananda is gifted with gift of the gap, that is oratorial power. And he has the ability to mesmerize you and all, you know. And he is a teacher par excellence. He is meticulous. I feel elated to say something regarding this. Publications of the Vidyapith number, that is magazine, is a regular feature, you know. And he is so meticulous in editing. Whenever I used to also do this editing work with him, he said, Kanchanolu, here some punctuation marks is missing. Here there is semicolon is needed. So this is called cult of his meticulousness. The way he has emphasized on the handwriting. I just recall an incident. I used to go Dhanbad regularly every year to do the evaluation process. Once I had the copies of our Vidyapith students, class 9, class 10, that is the Suyan Kumar batch, Nirmal Samul batch. तो सिटी टीचर भी जस्ट अदर एग्जाम से कंचुंदा देखिए ना ये आप लोग का विद्यापीठ का लड़का का कॉपी होगा, इतना सुंदर मार्जिन है, इतना हैंडराइटिंग है. So they have a outside of Vidyapith they have a complete notions. The Vidyapith is why we also do such a. The role of handwriting is really equally important. What Maharaj has great emphasized. I think our Vidyapith boys definitely follow the Maharaj's instructions. And Vidyapith always resides at the very heart of Maharaj. Today's topic, speciality of being a Vidyapith student. Maharaj is always special to us. And our students definitely would leave some extraordinary special things for Vidyapith. They would be innovative. Now the
So बच्चे लोग एक दो तो कुछ क्वेश्चन डालना है ना 12 से 11 से, otherwise we won't have a good impression about you.
now interactive session will start and our participants will also coordinate this session.
Fine. Come in, Parthu Babu.
Pranam Maharaj. My name is Pradyumna Upadhyay, class 11. Maharaj, my question is,
You can take the mic near your mouth, okay?
what helps more, chanting or bhajan in our studies or in our focus?
So that was a very specific question. So normally questions come in thick and fast later on. So I can start with this question first. So Pradyumna is from Malda. So it was a pleasure seeing him here. So there are two things what he refers to, chanting and bhajans, okay? You boys would appreciate that chanting is normally in the Sanskrit language. So in India, Sanskrit is a bearer of heritage. It can so happen, I can tell from your side, that sometimes you don't understand what is being chanted. That is the meaning of the verses, okay? In education psychology it is said, you see, if you go on chanting a verse for a number of times, the meaning of the words gradually seep into you. They gradually start dawning in your mind. They come up gradually. But ये तो मानना ही है ना, भजन you can understand the meaning much more, है ना? Bhajans, they can create a commotion in your mind. They can even bring tears in your mind, है ना? There are some bhajans, even which are sung here, if they are rendered properly, they can well up your emotion, welling up of emotion करते हैं, मतलब जैसा इदारा में है ना, वेल में पानी बढ़ती है, इधर भी वेल है ना तुम्हारे हॉस्टल में, सिमिलरली जैसे पानी बढ़ती है ना इधर, सिमिलरली इमोशन जब बढ़ जाती है ना, इसको कहते हैं वेलिंग अप ऑफ इमोशन. भजन कभी कभी ये कर सकते हैं. For apparently a person who is apparently very indifferent, not very of the a little dry type, even he can be moved by bhajan, I can tell you. So chanting, to summarize, probably caters more to the intellectual dimension, because many of the verses that you are chanting probably are not clear to you. But bhajans, they appeal more to the heart. They can really move you. देखो ये कभी कभी when your mind is disturbed, किसी के साथ तुम्हारा झगड़ा हो चुका है, ऐसा हो सकता है कि हॉस्टल में प्रेयर के बाद you come out fresh, your mind is cleared up again. होता है कभी? होता है ना? Yes. यहाँ तक देखे हैं boys who have passed out from Vidyapith or from other institutions, when they were there in the hostel, they were indifferent to going to the prayer halls. Okay. बाद में आके हम लोग को बोल रहे महाराज we miss the prayers very much actually. This collective singing, collective bhajans or chanting, they would somehow speak to our very basic nature. Okay, so these are of two types, bhajans and chanting. Right? Thank you. Boys, please tell your name also. Huh?
Anyone? Of class 11. My question is how to find wrong things sweetly. Every student in hostel come up with this problem that we don't want to hurt someone. If someone offers wrong things, we usually take it. So how to avoid wrong things sweetly without hurting someone?
Wow, that's a good question. You sit in. So I tell you, what his question is, just to tell a bit more elaborately, is suppose you want to tell a little na to someone, नहीं बोलना है किसको, है ना? तो ऐसा हो सकता है क्या? He is hurt by that. So where do you draw a line? Just to please him, should you say a yes? तो किस तरफ से you can do that, है ना? So one or 2 points that I can suggest is, देखो कभी-कभी होता है you do not like a thing, you express your displeasure very roughly, है ना? You need not do that. In fact, हम देखें हैं, analyzing myself, when I have been rough towards others, in correcting others or in showing the faults of others, I probably was not sure about my own self. Because I myself was vacillating in my mind. Achanak, I showed this by a somewhat rough or cruel behavior. A person who is sure about his decision is unperturbed. देखो वचनामृत पढ़ना श्री रामकृष्ण का जो वचन है, is absolutely sure that he is content with a godly life. He doesn't look towards the world at all. Anyone who has seen the Vachanamrita, read the Vachanamrita, Swamiji's or teachers, or probably some of you, would be amazed. How can he bring in discussions on such tricky spiritual matters so lively, so easily, so comprehensible? कभी कभी ऐसा गलत हो सकता है क्या तो पढ़ने के बाद स्पिरिचुअल मैटर्स. अरे भाई महाराज लोग जब क्लास में पढ़ा रहे थे, मंदिर में गीता चैंटिंग करवा रहे थे, बहुत तकलीफ होती थी समझने में. श्री रामकृष्ण देव की बात तो कोई एकदम पानीवत. That is the confidence, you know. When you are sure about your own decisions, you do not need to be cruel. We are sometimes harsh towards others because we are not sure about yourself. But at the same time, I tell you, you must also develop a habit of saying no. Often just to please others, we say a yes, and later we repent. इसी तरह at your age, people take up smoking. Many boys who go to the colleges just take it in fun. So gradually they become addicted. In fact, even in a town like Malda, drug addicts is now a big problem. In fact, our Belur Math headquarters, they gave a circular a few days earlier that drug addiction, to remove that, give posters. Belur Math mein diye chalo. So not only smoking, drug addiction too. How have they come in? Many of them are from good families, I tell you. ऐसी मजाक से बाकी दोस्तों बोल रहे भाई क्या करे तुम, trying to be a good person, क्यों करे भाई, थोड़ा सा स्मोक कर लेते हम लोग के साथ, ऐसे क्या है, पढ़ाई में तो कुछ तकलीफ नहीं हो रहा है. In this way they have gradually put their legs into the water, है ना, जाते जाते gradually drowned हो गए फिर. So how to say a no, this also is an exercise. You must develop this, I tell you. In Bhagavad Gita, all of you have chanted the Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Bhagavad Gita is said, you see, you must have abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena cha grihyate. Abhyasa is the positive thing, okay? During this hour, you must do study. Positive. During these hours, you must not play. This is negative. What is abhyasa? That is vairagya. Vairagya means not only taking up this ochre shirt. Vairagya means giving up. You must not play during these hours. This is vairagya. Another is abhyasa, positive. So in every decision, you have both the positive and negative aspects. So this vichara, understanding, is essential in life, okay? Our Vedanta says for this you must have clarity of your mind. The more you are pure in your body and mind, you will understand these finer aspects of your living more and more. Every decision in your life, you have to take a decision. Swamis, even your parents, your friends, no one will take the decision. One day you will have to stand up and say, yes, I am going to take the responsibility on my own shoulder. The more you do, you'll see, the more you will judge properly. Right? Yes. Next question. Mike.
Pranam Maharaj. Maharaj, my question is that will you please explain the scientific base behind all the religious principles that we practice? In particular, I want to ask the relation between science and religion.
Actually, this I am borrowing from Vidyapith only. He says the established religions, they have a number of aspects. First is the ritualistic part, okay? जैसे बाबा मंदिर में जा रहे हो, you have a बेल पत्ती in hand and सफेद चंदन लगा रहे हो फिर. कभी कभी बोलते देखो लाल चंदन मत लगाना क्योंकि भगवान शिव के पास सफेद ही लगाना. These are rituals, huh? ऐसा हो सकता है क्या? Before the examination, if you don't go to Baba Dham, एक बार जाना था महाराज जी. So why have these rituals come in? Because probably you have seen your relatives doing that. You have seen your seniors doing that. So rituals is one part of religion, okay, number one. Number two, he says, second is mythology. What's mythology? Mythology is Puran Katha. Much of what religion is, we learn through the lives of holy persons or people with lives of merit. Say a life of Tulsidas, life of Ramanuja, life of Sri Ramakrishna, life of Swami Vivekananda. Mythology or lives or life incidents give you concrete examples of religion, okay? So religion are not merely things to be discussed in the prayer hall or in the conference halls. These are things to be practiced. If Bhagavan Sri Krishna has uttered the Bhagavad Gita, you believe them more. Why? Because he practiced this dispassion in his own life. Even being easily able to win over the battlefield, he remains aloof. He says, no, I won't pick up the arms or the weapons in the battlefield. So he has practiced karma yoga. That is the reason why his words have mattered. My theology, number 2. Third is important. Swamiji says third is philosophy. In fact, he goes to the point of saying, you see, those religions have had a long life in this world who have a strong philosophical basis. Philosophy is argument. It tells you the basic premise of behavior. Why should you be truthful? Swamiji says, why should you be truthful? If your friends come in and tell you from another college, another school and tell you, अरे भाई थोड़ा सा अगर नकली कर ले तो you more exam में marks मिल जाएगा फिर. Why did you do that? फायदा क्या है if you be truthful? He says, huh? Swamiji says, by being truthful, how do you gain? बोले देखो, understand, by first of all being deceitful, by taking recourse to untruth, you feel that I have to hide something. Whatever you want to hide from others is a sin, he says. Can you be transparent? Can your life be visible to others, everyone? In fact, Sri Ramakrishna Dev ka जीवन ही देखोगे ना, he had 2 doors in his room. They were always open, always. है ना? Anyone could come in and walk in there. अभी है ना, हम लोग सेक्रेटरी महाराज का ऑफिस में जाते, प्रिंसिपल का ऑफिस में जाते हैं, तो गिव स्लिप है ना, कौन जा रहे हैं, पियोन आके पूछेगा, कौन सी क्लास में पढ़ रहे हो, व्हाट वर्क डू यू हैव, ऐसा होता है ना. श्री रामकृष्ण रूम वाज ऑलवेज ओपन. और देखोगे, anyone if you have turned on a few pages of the Vachanamrit, I think, Kathamrita, anyone, है ना? अच्छा. अच्छा देखो, कभी देखोगे क्या, श्री रामकृष्ण रीडिंग अ बुक, ऐसा किताब लेके पॉइंट पढ़ रहे हैं, देखो, पढ़े कभी? तो श्री रामकृष्ण भगवत गीता किताब लेके बोल रहे, उपनिषद, रामायण, महाभारत किताब लेके बोलते कभी नहीं है. Suppose a teacher has mastered his subject very well, किताब is no longer necessary. संस्कृत में बोलते हैं पुस्तकस्था चया विद्या परहस्तगतम धनम कार्य काले समुत्पन्ने न सा विद्या न तद्धनम. देखो, what knowledge in the books, they won't be useful during your examination, isn't it? वो तो किताब तो हासिल में छोड़ के जाना है एग्जाम के टाइम. परहस्तगतम धनम, बहुत तुम्हारे वेल्थ है, इट्स इन द बैंक. You accident in the road, but you can't access that money. Parahastagatam dhanam. Karya kale samutpanne. When the necessity arrives, when you direly require that knowledge or that money, they are useless. So you have to acquire that knowledge for yourself. These assistance of books, extra props, no longer necessary. हम लोग जब क्लास में जाते हैं ना, इकोनॉमिक्स क्लास पे जाते हैं, 1-2 किताब लेके जाते हैं हर वक्त. बट अ सीनियर, मोर मैच्योर टीचर्स किताब ही नहीं लेंगे बिल्कुल. एवरीथिंग इज देयर इन हिज हेड. सो देखोगे, दीज आर द टीचर्स हु हैव प्रॉपर्ली लिव्ड देयर लाइव्स एक्चुअली. ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ देयर लाइव्स, philosophies are written. On the basis of their lives, religions become more concrete and living. So religions are not confined to these rituals. बहुत समय होता है क्या, educated boys like you, girls like of this age, they mistake religion for these rituals. Behind the rituals you have philosophy, understanding, logic. In fact, Vedanta philosophy has a very, very strong foundation. Today, almost the entire intellectual world has agreed upon the fact that the Hindu religion, Hindu philosophy is the most organized, especially the Advaita Vedanta. Of course, in the terms of rituals, you can have a multiplicity. कोई शिव जी का रिचुअल मान रहे, कोई काली भगवान का, कोई कार्तिकेय को मान रहे, बहुत इतना सारे देवता, पीपल गेट कंफ्यूज एक्चुअली। बाहर से जो लोग आते हैं ना बोलते कौन सा भाई हिंदू धर्म है, इतना भगवान इतना देवता क्या है। तो हिंदू रिलीजन बोल रहे, स्वामी जी बोल रहे एक जगह में, बोले देखो डिवोटरी जो लोग पूजा करे वो जाके बोलते देखो भगवान, माई माइंड इज लिमिटेड एक्चुअली, आई कैनॉट कॉम्प्रीहेंड योर ग्रेट इंफिनिट सेल्फ। इसी कारण आई ट्राई टू विजुअलाइज यू, अंडरस्टैंड यू थ्रू दिस इमेज। आई एम इम्परफेक्ट, आई एम नॉट एबल टू विजुअलाइज प्रॉपरली। I haven't seen the country America. You cannot visualize America properly through a photo or through a cinema. Similarly with God as well. Because you haven't seen him, understood him properly, your knowledge is only the books. When you can dispense with books, then religion is living. Then you feel that religion is concrete. Swamiji believed that such a person can give religion by mere touch, mere words. This is where religion takes us to perfect human being. Okay. Anyone else?
We read Swami Tyagarupananda Ji Maharaj, we read Arvind Maharaj, we read Principal Maharaj, we read Keshav Maharaj, my learned colleagues, and the students of class 11th and 12th. It's extremely a great privilege to have with us, and how had this 1.5 hours passed, it's beyond our imagination. If I start saying, it will be very much emotional, because Maharaj and myself had worked a long period of time. I often say before the students also,
Economics, huh?
economics, that it was of a height of embarrassment while Maharaj used to call me in his chamber and discuss matters regarding microeconomics. Maharaj, right now in CBSE, the microeconomics is in the class 11th level. Now, that time micro and macroeconomics both had in the plus 2 level. So we had lot of discussions on this, and always our entire effort was there to how the extraordinary quality of economics can be taught in class 11th and 12th level. Until now, the students who are attached with economics, they are often share their experiences while they were in their Delhi University or Presidency University in their tenure, that we had a lot of things in our class 11th and 12th standard. So this way we had spent our time. I don't want to mention about the administrative part. I want to see him, I have seen him and I still see him in the academic part. And in this, I see that the students who are in this auditorium, Pius Auditorium, if they have 70%, if the 70% can catch up what Maharaj has told, I hope their entire journey of life will be more smooth. It cannot be said it will be easy, but it will be a little bit smooth. And second thing, regarding examination part, regarding the academics preparation part, because ultimately you have to face any sort of examination, it is true. But at the same time, the preparation part is, this stage is the very important stage. Here we do so many mistakes. Sometimes because of carelessness, sometimes we are having some overconfidence. Nowadays, it's a great threat for the students level that they are having misconception and rather overconfidence. Parents are also alleging against this. So take care of this. And with this, our heartfelt thanks on behalf of the teaching community and the students community that Maharaj has given his time, and we are really enriched with his very profound, intricate, meticulous analysis of the present education system and touching the hearts of the tomorrow's students. Thank you, Maharaj.